Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome. And welcome back. We're taking deep breaths over here to Heretic Owl Tarot. So we're talking about May. Crazy, I know. We're working with a little bit of a different spread this month. I hope that April has been and is treating you well also. But yeah, like I said, we're working with a little bit of a different spread. I'm going to shuffle the deck 3 times one way, 3 times another way, split it, and then I'm just going to take the top 9 cards off of the deck. I don't know, it feels good, so we're just going to roll with it. We'll see if it sticks around, because I didn't realize how much room 9 cards takes up. So the struggle has been trying to get all of the cards to fit into frame. And these are actually smaller cards. These are like the pocket size ones. This is the size of a general, oh, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. It's crazy windy outside, and I thought I just heard something hit my house. Anyway, so my apologies. Let's get a message for Sagittarius for May 2022. What's a message at Sagittarius? Oops. I'm going to do it one more time. There we go. For May 2022. 3 is just my number. So if you have a number, you know what I mean. Also, if you have a number, drop it in the comments. Just curious. So we have the Fool, the Queen of Wands, 5 of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune. Interesting. This is beautiful. The World, 2 of Swords, 6 of Cups, 10 of Swords. Interesting. And then the 4 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Okay, I just want to make sure that everything was in view, and I'm a Taurus, so I wanted it to look halfway decent. So this is beautiful. There's not necessarily a rhyme or reason. It's kind of like bingo. You know, like we're going to talk about each row. We're going to talk about each column. You know, there's kind of a beginning, middle, end type situation. My intention is really to kind of bring you the messages that pop out to me. But also, I like explaining each card too, because I do believe that, you know, like you are able to receive your own message and kind of put your own right to whatever your situation is. And it just kind of helps you understand the card, right? Or each card. So we start with the Fool card here, which is absolutely beautiful. The Fool talks about this leap of faith. There's a lot of trust that comes with the Fool card also, because, and even surrender. I mean, you know, like, as you can see, like, there is this level of excitement there. But I mean, she is going to kind of step off of this cliff, right? I mean, there is support, providing that, you know, I mean, this broom is going to kind of carry her, right? I mean, that would be my assumption. But I always kind of see the Fool card. I mean, the Fool is the beginning of the Fool's journey, right? We even have the end of the Fool's journey on the table, which we'll get to. But I see the Fool as kind of that space, that mindset where you've already kind of considered all of the options. You've weighed the pros and cons. You've worked through your limitations maybe, or you are, right? And there just kind of comes a point where you're just like, I'm just going to do it. Because at this point, it's like, there's nothing else to do except for to kind of just step off the cliff and see what happens, right? Like, which is beautiful. Because then it's, you know, like once you do that, then it's, you know, like doors start opening, or you kind of get a sense of what you like, what you don't like, you know, like, which, yeah, so cool. And then we have the Queen of Wands here, Wands being fire energy. So very much in your element there. I believe the Queen of Wands is Aries specifically. And what is a Fool? Is a Fool water, I want to say, or air? I think it's actually, yeah, I think it's actually air, like Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, which would make sense. So with the Queen of Wands here, she's kind of sitting on top of this dragon. You know, wands talk about creativity. It talks about communication. It talks about acting towards something, like, you know, kind of physically kind of moving towards a thing, or again, like even just the act of taking this leap of faith. However that would look for you, whether it's kind of more of a mental thing and you're going to start kind of allowing your thoughts to expand on a thing a little bit more, like where you're kind of really, what's the word? Formulating, plotting and planning what your next steps are going to be, or how it's going to get started. It could also even be like, you know, kind of communication. There's a lot of creativity even. And when we talk about the queens are when we embody the energy, like we fully kind of feel that energy within ourselves. And then when we get to the king is when we kind of share that energy like with other people. There's generally other people involved then, because, you know, with kings, there's a kingdom type of thing, or that's kind of the thinking. That's kind of my understanding of it anyway. I also just recognized, I love how her shoe has like little fire decal on it. I absolutely love that. Because there's almost this like undertone of play. And I hate, absolutely hate the saying, or at least I hate when people say it to me, don't be so serious, or don't take it so serious, or don't take yourself so seriously. I hate that. But, and I'm not going to say that to you, but the feeling that I am getting is that, you know, like, it's almost kind of like, you know, with a mullet, it's business in the front, party in the back, right? But it's keeping this element of play, this element of humor even. Very interesting. And then we have the Five of Pentacles next to that. And the Five of Pentacles have to do with Earth. So that's Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. The fives have to do with transitionary energies, right? I always say, because the Five of Pentacles specifically kind of talks about lack, feeling left out in the cold specifically. So there could be this concern about money. Like, how is this thing going to generate money for you? This could even maybe be the position that you're in right now. Like I said, you know, this isn't like a past, present, future type of thing at all. But, you know, this could be just kind of, you know, like a concern that you have. This could even be talking about well, you know, it talks about income, it talks about time, it talks about our physical 3D body. So, you know, it could be that you're worried about maybe the amount of time that this is going to take to kind of put all together. You could even maybe be worried about how it's going to be accepted. This could even, you know, like be getting really clear about how you want to even present the thing. Like, you know, there could be just kind of some inner discovery that needs to kind of maybe go on. But the thing with the Five of Pentacles is that it is a transitionary energy. So it's not something to get stuck in. I always kind of say, like, it's not something that you pitch a tent in and get comfortable. Like, no, you know, you're moving kind of through the energy. So it's almost kind of like, you know, allowing that movement to happen. And of course, time is relative when it comes to like tarot and the 5D and stuff, right? So, I mean, temporary is a couple minutes. Temporary could be a week. Temporary could be a month, right? Like, but it is temporary regardless. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles down here. And the Seven of Pentacles is about putting in the work. This is about, you know, focusing your energy and time on a thing. Like, in order for it to flourish and in order for it to grow. Like, you can see that this figure is standing in this grape orchard. So, you know, it takes time and practice and dedication even comes with the Seven of Pentacles, because it's understanding that in order for a thing to grow, you have to kind of foster it, right? And continue to put your time and energy into it. Like, you can't just plant a seed in the ground and be like, okay, grow into a grapevine. You know? Like, no, you have to water it. You have to prune, and you have, you know, all of the things. There's even wine here. So, you know, I mean, it even kind of takes time to perfect a recipe, right? Whatever it is, though, there is this level of dedication and commitment that is being asked of you. Or it may even just be a message that, hey, you know, expect to commit to this thing, whatever it is for you. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune at the middle, which is, you know, kind of the central energy for everything. So it's interesting because even on this, this wheel here, right? Like, you have a house, you have this little pot of gold, I can't remember the name of this, but the medical, then there's a star here, the sun, there's a ring, a book, and a heart. I don't know if you can see all that. That's why I said it all out loud. And this figure is about to spin the wheel, right? And I always see the Wheel of Fortune as being a good card. Obviously, I mean, in this spread, it most certainly is. It could be talking about things that are leaving your life, because it does talk about change. It talks about, you know, kind of wheels kind of start getting in motion if they haven't for some time. So it could very much be that there are energies that may be needing to kind of clear out. But there's also, you know, all of this opportunity here for change in any one of these situations. I mean, right now it's on the little spoke is on the house. So, you know, I mean, there could be consideration as far as housing or where you live, or And it almost kind of has this feeling of, like almost like flipping a coin is how it feels. Interesting. And then we have the World card next to that. So not only do we have the beginning of the Fool's journey, but we also have the end. The Fool the World talks about, I mean, literally a cycle ending. It is the, you know, you've gone through the whole Fool's journey and you've learned everything that you needed to learn. You've acquired the knowledge, you've learned the lessons, you've seen what you needed to see. And, you know, the World card talks about kind of an end to whatever that situation is so that you can proceed forward. You can move forward onto a new journey. You know, I mean, there's this wind here. There's this kind of like carefree type energy here. I mean, clearly it looks like she's sitting on a beach. So there's this level of like freedom almost that is coming from that. And of course too, you know, like with the World card, just like I was saying with the Five of Pentacles, you know, I mean, it is something that can abruptly end, but it's also something where, you know, I mean, you might just kind of start noticing that things are just kind of naturally starting to close out, whether that be relationships or business partnerships, or, you know, like you might just kind of start noticing like, oh, you know, things are just, I can definitely sense a change here. And, you know, I mean, that's just kind of like the universal way of saying, you know, like this situation is closing out so that a new situation can, you know, like open up and you can kind of step into that. We have the Two of Swords down here. And it's interesting because with the Wheel of Fortune, I talked about flipping a coin and she's blindfolded. So, you know, she's kind of throwing these daggers blindfolded. Clearly, I don't know, you know, I mean, do we assume that she hit the bullseye once and she's trying to do it for a second time? You know, I know that crows even represent change. Swords have to do with our thoughts and our intellect. It's a lot of ego also, because that's kind of where our ego lives, is, or where we hear it more, is in our minds, right? And when we talk about the Two of Swords, there is this energy of indecisiveness. Like this is kind of not knowing what to do, or even, you know, maybe you just don't even feel like you're able to kind of see a path forward yet. Like you're not able to see what the decision should be yet. And maybe it's just, maybe it is out of your view. And then we have the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups have to do with emotions. So it's Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And when we talk about the Six of Cups, that talks about nostalgia. It talks about reflection. It's almost, you know, kind of looking back on our past in order to, you know, kind of learn something new, or almost like remember a feeling. Like, you know, when was there a time in my life where I felt good, I felt content, I had my needs met. It's also an inner child card. I mean, clearly there's, you know, an older character and a younger character here, so that could have some sort of dynamic in your life as well. And what's interesting too, I'm just, you know, like the cups here are these little planters. And clearly, you know, like every planter is blooming, and this character is giving this younger character a, how many times am I going to say character, right? But they're giving this planter so, I mean, there could even be like a mentor in your life, or somebody that is older that's maybe passing down knowledge, or maybe even they're helping you, excuse me, maybe they're helping you remember or like relive things from your past. Because this could even be like old dreams or goals or whatever, like, you know, maybe that stuff is coming back up, and maybe, you know, there are people around you who are just kind of reminding you of that. And then we have the Ten of Swords to end it. This has a feeling of overwhelm. We have the 10 swords in this character's back. There's clearly somebody running off here. This cat is pissed. You know, we have this figure that's reaching for the broom. There's another crow up here, dropping a feather, which is interesting. It's also interesting that these two cards, well, maybe that has something to do with air, actually. Maybe the crow has some like significance with, I mean, clearly it's a bird, right? So, I mean, there's that, but as far as air goes and like being able to fly, but I don't know. Anyway, with the Ten of Swords, you know, like I said, there's this feeling of overwhelm. Also, the tens are completion. So this is, you know, you have thought about everything that is there, that there is to think about. And maybe, you know, by the end of the month, again, you know, maybe it could just feel overwhelming because maybe there is this indecision here. You know, this could be, you know, other people's opinions. This could even be like, you know, just kind of too much information coming in. I'm only really saying that because there's this other character on the card here. So, you know, I mean, that there could just be something that's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Something like that, you know, again, like there could just be a lot of outside opinions and a lot of outside information that's coming in. This could even maybe be that, you know, like there's whoever it is maybe in your environment is maybe not seeing your vision the way that you are. Because, I mean, granted, I have no clue if these figures are the same, but you know, this person is wearing a cape and this person has on a cape as well. So, you know, they could be the same people. Clearly the blindfold is off on this figure also. So, you know, again, like there just might be a bit of overwhelm going on there. And then we have the Four of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. And the Four of Pentacles talks about holding on. This talks about discipline. There's a lot of like, you know, it's almost a budgeting type card too, because you can see that they're sitting on top of this chest. There's all these coins here. So it's kind of like, you know, gripping a little bit tightly to the resources that you do have. So, you know, I mean, depending on your situation, this could be, and with it being at the bottom of the deck, this could be waiting, you know, kind of allowing yourself a pause. This could also be recognizing that maybe you are holding on a bit too tight and to loosen that grip a little bit. It's interesting because, you know, I mean, like this door almost appears to, well, it does actually appear to be locked, right? And this cat is like, well, this window is open over here. Interesting. And then we have the Ace of Swords behind there and the Six of Wands. That's interesting. Again, with a cape. But, you know, I mean, the Ace of Wands would technically come after the 10 of, or excuse me, the Ace of Swords would come after the 10 of Swords. Technically, right? Like we talk about kind of cyclical energies. So that could even be talking about almost maybe like opening your mind a little bit to possibilities. Because, you know, I mean, with the swords and the Ace of Swords would talk about a new perspective, a new way of seeing things. And then we'll talk about the columns and then we'll kind of wrap things up for you. So again, the Fool, Seven of Pentacles, Two of Swords. This kind of has this energy of like not knowing. It's like, you know, maybe there's a concern about it. I don't know, but it's like, you know, not really knowing where or, you know, like where this is going to lead. Like, yeah, you know, I'll take this leap of faith. I'll, you know, like dedicate my time and attention to the thing. But like for what? Right? Like what am I, you know, like what's going to come of it? There can even just kind of be this indecisiveness about taking this leap. I mean, it doesn't have to go top bottom, right? I mean, like I said, we're going to talk about the energies as they are, but you know, you could be, there could like be this concern about what exactly this leap is. Like, you know, if there are options here, like it's just kind of maybe feeling a bit lost in the sauce a little bit. Just maybe not knowing what that leap of faith is, or the Fool, this new thing. And then the Queen of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, Six of Cups. I feel like the Wheel of Fortune is Jupiter, isn't it? And Sagittarius is, I think, ruled by Jupiter. Also interesting, but I think Sagittarius specifically is Temperance. Anyway, this kind of feels like wanting to get back to a place where you do feel like content and you do feel good. And it's almost like, you know, like this feeling of giving back. Like maybe you are the one who is providing advice and becoming a mentor, or, right? Like you could be this figure that's handing off this bowl of flowered plants. It could even be, you know, handing it off to younger people. It doesn't have to. I'm just going based on the imagery on the card. But because it's kind of like, you know, like you have the tools. I mean, he's got his little tools in his apron here. So it's like, you know, like you have the experience, you have the tools, you have the emotional capacity to maybe even understand the past, like maybe help other people understand their pasts. And I keep bringing up the past because that's just kind of what this card signifies, is this nostalgia, like this reflection looking back at the past. So again, you know, like this could be you as the Queen of Wands. And that could even be where this, you know, this bit of play energy comes into, like, you know, almost kind of making it fun instead of medicinal or boring. And I mean, there might even be, right, because there could be all of these different topics that you could be talking about. And it's kind of like on whatever specific day, like just spinning a wheel and being like, okay, we're talking about money today, or we're talking about relationships today, or, right, like whatever it is. Or, you know, again, like it could just be that you have knowledge of those things that you would be able to provide to other people to help them understand like their own situations. That could be a thing too. And then the Five of Pentacles, the World, and the Ten of Swords, like this could just be maybe your concern about, again, like how it's going to, did you see a shadow? No, okay. That was weird. It could be your concern about how it's going to kind of all come together. Again, you know, I mean, this could be your own limitations. This could be your own thought processes. Again, you know, I mean, this could even be, you know, like shit that other people have just kind of instilled in you. Because it's interesting that we have the World card that's between kind of these heavier energies here. So there is kind of this level of like YOLO keeps coming to mind, but this carefree kind of energy, like just doing the thing, putting content out there, or you know, that will maybe, you know, kind of clear these two energies up for you. And it's also interesting how, you know, we go from the Five of Pentacles to this kind of snow situation to this kind of beachy energy. And this is kind of more like rolling hills here. Definitely greenery. That's interesting. And I'm really kind of getting even just a feeling from this, like as we kind of talked through the columns, like this could maybe even just be like you may be holding on, like maybe even stalling. And there's this window here, like whether that's a window of opportunity or, you know, and I'm not one of those people that believe that there is a window of, like, I feel like, you know, it's there for you, that like the opportunity would be there for you regardless, but it's like almost recognizing that it's there. Cause that's part of the problem for me anyway, is that there may be a window, but I'm not looking at it, right? Like I'm this character here. I'm sitting on top of my chest and I'm like, I can't get up off of this. Like, I can't, you know, I need more information. Because again, you know, like even on the other side of this is this Ace of Swords, this new perspective, this new inspiration almost. And it's almost kind of like the crows have turned into doves is how that looks to me. And the Six of Wands behind that, the Six of Wands talks about success. It's being recognized for something, you know, right? Like it's like your community is recognizing you for something. And then even the Four of Swords behind that, the Four of Swords talks about rest and like really kind of giving your mind a rest. Like no more of this Ten of Swords energy. It's really kind of this even healing. Deep sleep business. And then here you are, specifically the Temperance card, which is interesting. I love that. I mean, definitely, you know, it's just kind of interesting how, you know, with the Wheel of Fortune in the middle and just kind of how all of this energy is kind of playing around it. And it's almost kind of like, you know, this feeling of like getting out of your own way a little bit. But it's also like this energy, again, like with this transitionary period, like it's like, you know, moving through it. Because, you know, sometimes the only way out is through, or the only way out is in, right? And, you know, like also considering everything, letting those thoughts come up. Letting all that shit that maybe somebody else kind of put it, like, you know, like letting it come up so that you can deal with it and decide if it's actually something like an actual way that you feel about yourself, or if it was somebody else's shit and it's not yours. Because most times I've found out, most times it is other people's shit. It's not even me. Because I'm like, why do I even feel this? But I actually don't think about myself that way. So then, you know, it's recognizing, it's almost like, you know, sending that energy back to whoever it belongs to. Like, that's no longer mine. And if it doesn't go back to them, then just kind of set an intention for it to be cleansed and go into the ethers to be available for whoever needs it whenever they need it. That's what I do anyway. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.